people come for the results, but why do people stay with you long term?
Your personality.
Which is part of what?
The experience.
An experience. Perfect, exactly, right? Like people come for the results, but they stay for the experience. So, that experience could be, are you the type of coach that on a Sunday messages your clients, even though you're not obliged to check if they've, prepped their meals, or if they're ready to start the week hard again on Monday morning, or whatever it might be, right? It could be you have a 45-minute session booked in, but you, after the session, you take them for a coffee or something across the street just to kind of speak to them outside of the session, right? Whatever that might be. Relationships matter. And especially for you guys as coaches, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. Most coaches arguably play some of the most intimate, important roles in their clients' lives. I used to know everything about my clients when I was a coach, sometimes to the point of it being fucking awkward, right? But people come for the results, they stay for the experience. Those micro moments, those connection points are what keep you with 80% of your books being consistent. And loyalty equals reconversion, and reconversion equals lifetime value, right? So it's like loyalty is key. Now, with that, we found based on the data that average length after the initial program for most of our clients would be 18, 24 months. Those that went past that tended to systemize the experience. So what I mean by that is you could be great personality, this and that. Hands up if you're doing over 25 sessions a week right now. Hands up if you're doing over 30 sessions a week. Yeah? Who's doing 35-ish? Yeah, 40? Yeah, okay. So, and with you gents there, they're doing 35, 40. Do you find there's a point at which your experience and service can suffer if you do too many? And everyone has different sweet spots. What would you say the sweet spot is for you?
I would say 35 is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Over 40 for me, you feel like just the time.
Well, when it's 40, you're like, yeah, cool, you've got your new program starting next week. It's Friday, they still don't fucking have it. It's Monday, they still don't fucking have it. It's Tuesday, you're like, oh fuck, sorry, I don't have your fucking program. Right? That's what happens when you go up in sessions. So I found for me, I could do more, but there was a sweet spot. And I find for most coaches in our gyms, 35 was the upper limit. 35, you can still manage maybe, depending on the person, anywhere from maybe an 8 to an 11 customer experience. On 30, it's going to be more 9 to 11. On 25, it should be 10 out of fucking 10, right? And again, as I'm sure it is for the experienced gents over here in particular, 35 sessions for me, 3 years in the industry, was very different than 35 sessions for me, 10 years in the industry. Because 10 years in the industry, I had systems and processes. I could just look at someone move and I fucking knew the answer. 3 years in, I'm still trying to figure it out. So if you're not at that level yet and you're a bit younger in the industry, that's fucking normal. So just remember that. It does take time. Now, what we used to do, and I'm going to share these with Amy and Jono afterwards, and obviously you guys will get access to them too, is we had 2 kind of key processes that we would do to retain our clients. One of them, and so this is kind of the overview of it all, right? So we had in essence, a 90-day lifetime value kind of optimization framework. Is 2 weeks in to your client starting, you should be booking in a 30 to 60 minute coffee across the road, right? Now, why is that? The meeting should be designed where, and actually if I kind of come back to it here, you're asking them questions about basically how they're enjoying the program, and doing it not just on the fly as a session, right? Like actually taking a fucking notepad or computer or whatever it is, or your phone, and actually sitting down with them, having a coffee, ask them things like, you know, what is the favorite thing you're enjoying about this program? What could I do? What could I do to provide you with more value? And I'm a big boy or big girl, be fucking blunt, right? Like you're spending a lot of money. If you don't open up and tell me, I can't help you. You know, so it's all about basically getting, because sometimes as well, people don't necessarily want to give feedback in here, right? They might want to just sit in a off-site where it's not as noisy, where the music's not on, and just have a chat with you as an adult, right? And that's just basically helping you to build trust and basically, you know, getting them to check in with you. The second meeting that we used to do was 6 weeks in, so day 42. And that was pretty much where, one, we want to see like what type of results have they gotten over the first 6 weeks. You know, like they came in at, I don't know, 30% body fat, and over the next, you know, when they came in and you did that initial consult, 3 months after that, they wanted to be at 22% body fat, or whatever it might be, right? They've come in 6 weeks in, they should technically be halfway towards that goal. So we will you know, our team would generally do that after they'd done the assessments and whatnot. And that is generally the first time when you start to mention, like long-term, what are they looking at doing, right? Initially, you're not like 2 weeks in, you're not saying, oh, are you gonna stay on? You know, like, you know, oh, you know, like, fuck, I don't know, I just started, dickhead. Right? You know, 6 weeks in now, they've been training with you, you build a relationship, that's when you can kind of layer it in. So like, what are your thoughts moving forward? You know, obviously we train Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m., especially coming into, you know, I know you're on what's the initial program length here? 16 weeks? 12, okay, yeah. So I know that we're booked in at 7 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you know, for the next 6 weeks, but obviously coming into summer, like these slots are to high. Have you thought about what you want to do? Now note, I didn't say, do you want to fuck? I said, have you thought about wanting to fuck? Right? There's a difference, right? I haven't put it on them yet. I'm just saying, like, just throwing it out there, right? So it's basically, you know, layering it with them. And then the other thing that we'll generally do at this phase is, and they might come back saying, oh yeah, 100% I'm in. Now, if they say 100% you're in, if I was in your shoes, I would be taking client up to reception, up to Amy, Jono, and the team and saying, by the way, so-and-so has just confirmed they want to re-sign for 3 times a week. Can we get them on a new package? Do you think Amy and Jono are going to be like, oh no, sorry, don't do that? They're going to be like, fuck, awesome. You just took initiative, right? And this is one thing, like, so I've got, you know, in my business, I've got about 160 people that work in my companies, right? And one thing that I've really learned is that when we are working together, it needs to be an even exchange of energy, right? So what I mean by that is if I'm taking on all this risk, buying all this shit, generating all these leads, and wearing the emotional bandwidth of the costs, then obviously higher risk, greater reward. True, right? If you're not having to take that on, there's lower risk, the fiscal reward might not be as high. But there are other ways that we can create, you know, bilateral, you know, even exchange of energy with each other. One of them is through empowering you to take fucking ownership of your client base. I guarantee you, if for those that are maybe not doing that as much right now, if you did that more, you would open up more pathways for you within this business. And you know, that might happen for another 1, 2, 3 years, 4 years, and then you get to a point where you want to move on and do new things. Cool. You know, they're very much like me. Cool, awesome. What do you need from me to help you support you in that transition? Right, but it's about how you do things. And so again, coming back to this, you know, with clients, this is where you layer it. This is also where you mention referrals, you know, because 6 weeks in, they should have someone that they know that they've been speaking to that's seen the change that they could refer you on to. And so by the time you get to week 9, if you haven't, if at this point here, they're like, oh, look, I'm not sure yet, blah, blah, blah. You know, some people you might press for that. Some people you might say, that's cool. Look, obviously, let's just keep going hard for the next few weeks, for the next 3 weeks, and then we'll sit down and review that then. At this point there, this is where you can start to, I won't even use the word sell. Because again, hands up if you rate yourself as a good coach. Or you put your fucking hand up, right? So if you're a good coach, do you deserve to have full books? Yeah, right? So if you deserve something, are you like, you know, are you abundant or are you more scarce? You're more abundant, right? So if you deserve something, this is actually where you should be more direct, saying, cool, all right, we're at week 9 now. We've got 3 weeks left. Like, I need to know, you know, within the next 48 hours what you want to do. And sometimes you also need to kind of like, I call it like drawing a line in the sand, like just be direct with people on this. Because at the end of the day, one thing I've learned is, you know, for some people that might not want to continue, that's great, but it will open up space for someone that actually does want to move forward with you too, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing, and you can't really see it here, is we had a 62-step client compliance adherence tracker from week 1 to week 12. And so you can see here, that's like week 1, they're all the tasks that the coach had to sign off on with the client. Week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, etc. Right? You know, these go through from everything to like, you know, where you're saving your programming to, you know, the type of assessment you're doing with your client. Have you done an email follow-up with your client? Like just ticking off all of these things, treating your client as though you're an accountant reviewing some financials. Like ticking off every single box, right? Because when you do these two things, when you have the informal meetings, when you have, and again, you guys will see templates and things that you can use when you do all this, and then when you run people, and they don't know you're doing this, by the way, here, you're just doing this as part of your programming. But when you do this, you're basically de-risking the fact that you're going to forget things, right? You know, retention really is something that is earned. It's not just earned on your personality, it's earned on the back-end admin. It's earned on you basically, you know, spending more time at the beginning with your clients is another big one, so that you spend less time at the end. That's where if you look at that document there, the vast majority of time is actually spent in week 1. It's how you know, onboard them as the coach. Because as a coach, you are also the leader of your client, right? You're leading them towards their goals.